I've been thinking about this great master Lama Tsongkhapa, especially since last Lama Tsongkhapa Day. Recently, Thupten Jinpa introduced these 18 instructions Lama Tsongkhapa received from Manjushri. I thought opening meditation, which we usually do, maybe we can meditate on those 18 instructions, which encompasses the entire path, Vajrayana path. Vajrayana path means encompassing the sutra path as well. The reason I want to begin with that is this pandemics and also all these challenges brought us the fundamental truth of Buddhist teachings, Buddha's teachings, or as all of us know, we have been facing, we have been experiencing, and this fact of, for example, impermanence, how life is precious, no time to waste, and also importance of giving up what does not serve us and serve others, and the preciousness of this so-called precious human life. So just settle into this fundamental fact or truth of life. I just want you to imagine the place where Lama Tsongkhapa received this vision, received this instruction from Manjushri, Orka Chorung, that the place where Lama Tsongkhapa did a 3-year retreat, long-term retreat, based on the Manjushri's instruction. He brought 8 disciples, close disciples. Those disciples are called ear whisper lineage masters, which we recite whenever we practice Cho, Ganden Cho, ear whisper lineage of Ensa Ganden tradition. We need to come to re-appreciate those lineage masters and what this special ear whisper lineage hold. So I just thought it's auspicious to share a little bit about this lineage, the preciousness of the lineage and the contribution, in the sense that Lama Tsongkhapa's contribution equal. I'm just gonna show you a picture so that you can imagine you are like those great masters who aspire for freedom. They didn't care about establishing a big temple or monastery. That was not Lama Tsongkhapa's initial intention. He was a purely spiritual seeker to find out what's true, what's reality, what's the source of happiness and suffering. He went to the bottom of it, then came out like a shining star. Then he shared that with all suffering beings. Then we are a big part of it. Right now, we still receive his pure teachings and very clear instruction, methodology. We are so fortunate. Tsongkhapa has a very unique ways to explain and a unique way to teach, very practical and also understandable. It seems difficult, of course, but then very scientific in a sense. He went back to Indian sources and he was not just satisfied with muddy somebody's interpretations. He just went to the real things. I want to share the picture of Orka Chorung where he practiced long-term retreat so that you can imagine you are in there. This is the south of the Hasa, south of the capital of Tibet, and this is a hermitage. I think currently they have something like that, Lama Tsongkhapa's. So this was the hermitage called Orka Chorung. Chorung means the river. All right, so now instructions start. Tsongkhapa's spontaneous hymn to Manjushri in 18 lines. Basically, he received the transmissions. Then he spontaneously repeated, so to speak, what he received. Just take a moment to settle. Maybe I'm gonna read directly from this Thupten Jinpa's book. One day, Tsongkhapa had another vision of Manjushri. Again, surrounded by a host of many figures. This time, however, something different occurred. Tsongkhapa saw a sword of light extending from the deity's heart. So deity, in this case, Manjushri. Maybe you might have seen picture of the Manjushri's heart. The sword come out, light comes out, light extending from the deity's heart to touch his own heart. As Tsongkhapa experienced this vision, his body was pervaded with great bliss, and his mind became absorbed in a state of rapture, completely filled with great bliss. It is said that when this vision occurred, a few of those sitting near Tsongkhapa felt as if they too were tasting the nectar. Deeply inspired by this vision, Tsongkhapa wrote the following spontaneous hymn to Manjushri. In this city of Katala, attracted by flowers of its garden, swarms by honeybees frolic about, busily sucking the honey. He was a poet. There at the Gyatsampu Hermitage, Tsongkhapa also received from the deities these verses of instructions on the essence of Dharma practice, which he wrote down at that time. We're going to go these 18 lines slowly, just to bring your experience, whatever understanding you have. I'm not going to comment on this one. Then later, I wanted to go a little deeper and comment, but when I recite, just I'm going to follow what he wrote. Without abiding anywhere, contemplate your mind as space-like. Strive in all complementary practices. Remaining alone like a rhinoceros, discard all distractions, and abiding within equipoise, approach the great awakening. Fruition of karma is never in doubt. Cultivate renunciation and bodhicitta, keeping ablaze the great fire of mindfulness. The fuel of 6 objects will definitely be consumed. No phenomena of either samsara or nirvana ever were nor will be perceived. Like space, they transcend all boundaries. The appearance of objects resembles sky flowers. As for mind, the object which Buddha has found such a thing, the oneness of space and awareness is proven by the son of the barren woman. These truths constitute the path of the conquerors, path of the Buddhas. So without abandoning anywhere, contemplate your mind as space-like. First one, as I said, this encompasses the entirety of the Vajrayana path, condensed in here. This is talking about the wisdom aspect of the path. So path has 2 aspects. There are many ways to classify wisdom aspect and method aspect. This is really wisdom aspect. He used this metaphor of space. That's a very common way to use imagery of a space in Mahamudra and Prajnaparamita, as well as, of course, Dzogchen. Tsongkhapa use often this space-like meditation, mind, striving all complementary practices. Complementary practice is a method aspect of the path. So these 2 aspects are Mahayana, Vajrayana path, right, presented here. This can be the summary of the most important aspect of the path. Next, we get into these conditions we need to create for practice. if we really want to serious practices like a cho practice, if really we want to come to realization and using the cho as a method to come to not only just realizing, stabilizing, and integrating, then embodying, then become one with it, maintain it, sustain it. That's the difficult part. If we are really serious about that, then we need this kind of conditions. So he's describing next 4 lines conditions we need to create. Of course, if you can look at the remaining alone like a rhinoceros. Do you know rhinoceros? That metaphor, but one pointed focus and dedication, importance of focused conditions. Interesting about these 18 lines is also talking about Lama Tsongkhapa's kind of temperament or the nature or characteristic. He was very gentle and a kind person and considerate. However, he has this determination, this one pointed focus. No distraction, not distracted by something, the useless things, 8 worldly concern. So that's one thing we need as a Cho practitioner. Then discard all distraction. This is not only distraction in terms of our life experience, meditations. We are talking about the concentration meditation, shamatha, stable mind. That's the basis of everything that we know. That's the basis of Cho practice. We need a settled state of mind, mental condition. Otherwise, always pulled by the object. Especially practice like Cho practice required this heightened awareness, meta cognition, meta awareness. We invite fear, right? Then look at identify how the I, this grasping I appear, right? Some part of us have to be able to create a space for that I to arise, then observe some kind of metacognition, awareness, sheshin in Tibetan. We need to develop that kind of awareness. For that, the shamatha practice is the key. We need that basic. And abiding within equipoise. This is a formal meditation practice. We sit and without distraction. For example, resting mind of Kusaru, we went over when we read the Khenpo Ganshao's text. So just without any reference point, completely observe, like a formal meditative sessions, we need that. Then approach the great awakening. Then the next 3 lines talking about the path of wisdom and the method explained more detailed way. First, those 4 conditions. Now we are talking about a little more detailed teaching of the 3 principal aspects of the path, as you know, and also 3 scopes, if you are familiar with the Geru presentation of the path. The first one is the fruition of karma is never in doubt. So as you can see, karmic cause and effect is infallible. That is the first initial scope, no? That's the basic. That's the foundation of entire path, no? So living in a moral life, moral discipline, day-to-day life, refraining from 10 negative actions, and promoting the 10 positive actions. Again, we are talking about not the conceptual understanding of the precept or morality. We are talking a deeply felt sense of morality or felt sense of the law of karma. Take a moment right now, each of us. Do you have this felt sense of karmic cause and effect? And this sentence, fruition of karma is never in doubt. Do you live based on that conviction? At least the confidence or trust in that. Of course, this is the precept, refuge. If we have a refuge, then this is something we need to observe. Of course, as Buddha said, only awakened knows the specific cause and effect correlation. But still, as we practice more, we have a trust in Buddha's teaching, trust in our own experience. Then next one is cultivate renunciation and bodhicitta. Renunciation is a middle scope practice, reflecting deeply on the suffering of a cyclic existence and cultivate deeply the felt sense of remorse or felt sense of disenchantment to cyclic existence, samsara, so-called. Then develop the genuine aspiration for freedom. Right? That's the renunciation. So that's the second medium scope, medium capacity or facility. Then the bodhicitta, of course, this is a great vehicle, the highest scope or capacity practice. These three are the path of wisdom and method combined, explained in this way. Yes. Next two lines, a kind of unique Vajrayana method aspect of practice, uncommon aspect, you can say. Keeping ablaze the great fire of mindfulness. According to Tsongkhapa's teaching, emptiness is the same in Sutra and Tantra. It's a basic foundation, fundamental understanding of emptiness. The uniqueness and distinctiveness comes from this method, showed in the method aspect of the path. Practically, in this case, concentration, method practice aspect is the great fire of mindfulness. So we have a strong concentration, shamatha, in Vajrayana practice. Then fuel of six objects will definitely be consumed. This is talking about the advanced practice of the path, highest yoga tantra. This advanced practice allowed us to relate the object of the sense in a unique way. What was the uniqueness? This cultivation of the blissful state of mind. Bliss. Use the bliss to recognize the emptiness. Recognize the object. All the objects are manifestation of the bliss and emptiness. Blissful mind. Expression of the blissful mind, which is informed by emptiness. In that way, see, your relationship to the object become a non-dual, subject and object, non-dual. Bliss and emptiness together. It's not something emptiness out there and the blissful mind here. No, it's become a non-dual, which means non-grasping. Because whenever we have a subject-object duality, grasping happens. This kind of attractions between this. This is a non-duality. In Tantra, highest yoga Tantra, especially Tsongkhapa is talking about. Then the next one is the wisdom aspect of the path. I'm not gonna go into too much detail about Tsongkhapa's presentation of emptiness, uniqueness, or the contribution of Tsongkhapa in terms of how he presents emptiness. I was thinking about reading this or thinking about our journey. We really need to nail it in the sense that we really need to meditate experientially as well as study. Experientially, based on our understanding, then meditate, then come to certain kind of glimpse into deeper understanding of emptiness. Not muddy. There are lots of muddy kind of understanding or talk about emptiness. But then our lineage is very clear about that. Emptiness is the foundation of Vajrayana. When we come to Vajrayana, we have to have at least some glimpse or the intellectual understand, if not experiential, intellectual understanding of emptiness, what that means in this context. Otherwise, it's difficult if we are really looking for taking emptiness seriously and try to come to some kind of transformational experience. This is not just Tsongkhapa's biography or something like that. Tenjinpa did such a good job to present the entire, in a sense, that the Vajrayana path through this. Like even for ordinary people can understand, can get some deeper understanding on what this is all about. So anyway, so next one is a wisdom aspect, right? Emptiness, a little more detailed way. No phenomena of either samsara or nirvana ever or nor will be perceived. So this is the making the general statement of emptiness. There is nothing exists. This is the Ramatsongkhapa. Nagarjuna, Chandrakirti, Ramatsongkhapa, and then of course among Geru some different, but our ear whisper lineage masters kind of stand, you can say. There is nothing exists intrinsically, even tiny bits of it. Nothing exists either now or past or future, which means not perceived. Then he used this metaphor. Like a space, they transcend all boundary. This use of the imagery of space to describe emptiness. Buddha also used that space as an example. But this is very crucial instruction here, instruction aid to the teaching on emptiness. When we think about or imagine space, does the space have a boundary? It's beyond, right? In terms of boundary and in terms of Buddhist logic, space means basically absence of obstruction. That's the definition of the space. So absence. So only can be explained by negative term or absence of something. So absence of, in this case, absence of obstruction. Emptiness cannot be posited in a positive term. You know the Heart Sutra, right? Not this, not that, not this, not that. Yeah, that only that term, emptiness, can be expressed if we have to express it. But then, of course, suchness or thatness or those kind of terms. But what that means. Emptiness is very kind of negative connotation. Yes, that's negative connotation. Then sometimes Kagyu Western teachers started to use fullness. Yeah, of course, fullness is good, but Tsongkhapa was very careful about whenever we start to posit something like that, then we have a tendency to grasp on it. So his negation was so-called absolute negation, complete negating, not positing anything. Mega and Maya, two kinds of negation. For example, this is not a cup, means this is something else, right? Or no cup, or no book. There is no book. There is, so that is mega. Mega is the absolute negation, complete negation. So that's the tradition and they take. So Tsongkhapa's position, or Tsongkhapa refused to posit any positive characterization of emptiness. Buddha also did that, emptiness of emptiness. Right? The ultimate truth is always defined as a negative term. Then next one is the appearance of object resembles sky flowers. Do you know this metaphor? Sky flower means doesn't exist at all. As for mind, the subject, which Buddha has found such a thing. So mind as object, hard to grasp, subject and object. In this case, Tsongkhapa's tradition start from object, then mind, then union of object and mind. Those three stages and all are negated. So the third one is a union of object and mind, means the emptiness of emptiness. Even that the next one, the oneness of space and the awareness is proven by the son of a barren woman. So this is a common metaphor. Does the son or the child of a barren woman exist? They do not exist at all, no? Like that. Their truth constitute the path of the conqueror. So this constitute or embodied. This is the path of the Buddha. 18 line is the truth, which Buddha presented. Hopefully we have a little more time in the future to go into experiential practice, how we can bring the emptiness practice into our day-to-day life, so to speak, or how we can present or how we can practice the emptiness in our context, how to make meditation practice real or practical in day-to-day life. Yeah, that's what I mean. There are very specific text Thupten Jinpa mentioned. One of his classic translation project talks about the 5 different ways of meditating on emptiness, one by one, from beginning to the advanced. Then he was saying the first 2 are like our level. Then at least the first one is how to meditate on emptiness in the beginner's stage, like us. Complete deconstruction of our habitual patterns in a sense. Right? That's what we are doing, no? We are trying to deconstruct what we believe or how it appears. That's the thing, appearance. That's how it appears to be true, right? But then how to do it, how to deconstruct. It's not just sitting quietly, doesn't disappear that habitual pattern. That's what I'm saying. We have a lot of resting practice. We love that, resting practice, and also a lot of teacher emphasize that just rest and everything dissolve. And I do that too myself. That's very beneficial. But just doing that doesn't cut through the habitual pattern. That's why Cho practice is so effective. Lama Tsongkhapa himself didn't refer to Cho, but the emphasis is purposely or deliberately conjure this sense of grasping, sense of I am. So bring it up and look at. So that's your practice, no? We deliberately bring it up. But then in order to look at, we have to have this stable mind. We have to create a space so that we can be able to look. Beautiful metaphor in the Mahamudra Shamatha text, which actually we studied too. We will more, but he used this metaphor of for example, bird, eagles flying the sky, but it doesn't leave the trace. Or fish swimming in the ocean, big ocean space of awareness in a sense, but then doesn't disturb the water. So that's the sort of a skill. These are skill building. We need that sort of skill. I'm not asking us to really understand deeply, but then what I wanted to express was the importance of view, importance of paying attention to the view and paying attention to the foundational teaching in the context of Vajrayana practice. So next year, we're going to really dive into the generation stage. And again, I will share more about Lama Tsongkhapa's uniqueness, unique contribution to Tantra. But for that, we need foundations. For that to be effective, become a transformative experience.